What's going on, guys? I'm Weston Mack, and welcome back to One More Minute, the show where each day I get one more minute to talk about whatever I want. I'm getting better at that. Anyways, in today's video, I wanted to talk about, I think, a relatively new hobby for me, but something I've known about for a while, and it's 3D printing. 3D printing is something that I've done both as a hobby and a job now, and a hobby that I'm also turning into kind of a job. And I'll explain that more as I go over just kind of the aspects of 3D printing. I don't know that everybody actually knows truly what goes into 3D printing. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So if you don't know, there's two different major types of 3D printing. There's other variants and stuff like that, but if you're talking about commercial and personal use, there's really two major types. There's filament and then there's resin printing. And they're very, very, very different. So explaining it in like non-magical terms, because it almost feels like magic sometimes whenever I'm done with a print. I'm like, what the heck? This came from a single file to a whole thing in my hands. It's crazy. So we'll start with filament because I think that's kind of the easier one to explain. Basically, it is a hot end with a little spout, normally copper or metal or different types of metals and stuff like that. And it shoots out this hot, I swear, I don't know why my background does that. It shoots out this hot PLA plastic. Now it can be different types of plastic, but PLA is the most common use one. And it shoots it out onto a hot base plate. And it melts onto the exact place and then it slowly moves around. Now, different types of printers might have the base move back and forth or up and down, or the head move left, right, or up and down. There's different types of printers. Currently, I'm using the Elegoo Neptune 3 Pro and the Elegoo Neptune 3 Max and the Bamboo P1P. So three different types of printers. All of them have relatively different types of printing and filament. So what does the result even look like? So I actually have a couple things here with me. So when it comes to printing in filament, let me see if I can get it to focus. So you can kind of see there's like layer lines and stuff like that. And filament can be printed in different layer focuses, I guess is the best way to put it, where it focuses on trying to print every 0.04 meters or 0.08 meters. And based off of how high quality it is, therefore you see less lines. And for me, as somebody who wants to do more costly props and stuff like that, I don't want to print as good as possible and then sand it and then paint it. So the color of the filament doesn't matter a ton to me. In some cases it does. But then you have more advanced stuff, like I printed off a mini Mandalorian helmet. You can kind of see where the stripes were on this. I think this is more of like, because it printed like this, because the way you print something does matter a lot. So if I were to print it like this, the inside of the structure does need to be upheld a little bit. So there would need to be structural support in this to keep this up. Depending on the print, I think the helmet should have been fine, but printing it like this prevents any issue because it's layering on top of itself. And you can kind of see, so if you see that shine, those are the layer lines in the actual print. It basically prints like this all the way up. So that's filament printing. Filament printing is probably the easiest and cheapest to get into. Their printers can sometimes be a little more expensive than resin printers, but all in all, resin printing is way more expensive. And let's get into that because that's more interesting in my opinion. Resin printing, basically, there's a glass panel, and then there is a big tub of resin that goes on top. It's filled in with all the resin and stuff like that with a plastic sheet between the plastic and the glass. The next layer is a metal platform that lowers down and presses onto the plastic sheet, pressing onto the glass, but just enough that there is the smallest amount of resin that comes in between the metal plate and the plastic. We're not done yet. Underneath all of that, underneath the glass, is a reflection of an image shining using UV light, and it cures the resin, making a layer so that it connects to the metal plate but doesn't connect to the plastic. So then it rises up and then comes back down and it prints the next layer. The equivalent of the filament printer going around all of this lower bottom area, and then it'd be the equivalent of the filament going this entire bottom area, and that's a whole layer. That's one full print each time. And so it goes up and down, up and down. Now the major difference is the quality is absolutely insane. So you could even see layer lines in the filament printing. When it comes to this is just straight up, this is just straight up it printing with resin, and it looks seamless. I don't know if I'm really trying to get it to focus. Come on, focus. Focus. That's kind of hard. Anyways, but from my point of view, there was nearly no seam lines in any of this. And on top of that, while there is different types of PLAs and different plastics or whatever that you can kind of print clear, this is truly the best way to print clear, in my opinion. And it doesn't show up that clear on camera for some reason, but it is pretty clear. And if I were to actually shine it and polish it, this would look like glass, basically. So now we've covered both the major types. What can you even do with this? Now I'm currently working on a couple projects, but one of them that I finished and was really my first full color print, not color print, but first full print, and then going through and actually putting paint, I can't remember the name for paint, putting paint and sanding it and all that sort of stuff, was a sword that I did for a cosplay, Himmel the Hero. Show it fully on camera. Now, it's a little jacked up because I did certain things that I wasn't supposed to, but this is it right now. I can probably show it. It's pretty big. It's a pretty big print, and so you can kind of see, basically, when you're printing these sort of things, and this one in particular, I printed in multiple parts, so you can see the layer lines where then I stuck together these pieces. And also, you can actually see the gemstone, which I didn't know I polished at the time, so that's why it has this kind of like weird little black thing in it. But I think it looks kind of cool. This one came out better. And then the golden handle, and then the actual handle for everything. So when it comes to prints like that, I don't own a printer currently that can print that one giant thing in one big go. And you really wouldn't want to either, because the base would shake and you would actually see these lines on the actual sword. So those are printed in multiple parts with a metal rod in between. I later found out you can have metal rods at the convention, so I tore the metal rod out, replaced it with a wooden rod, was not strong enough, and then it kind of broke apart over the course of the convention. I did plan on making a new one. I realized how much time I don't have left. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll talk more about 3D printing in the future, but if you're interested in hearing and seeing more about this, make sure to leave the comments down below. But 3D printing is really cool. I think hopefully I showed this in this video. Okay. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out of time.